What's up, and welcome to episode 70 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me as always is my main man, Woody V.
Hey Robbie, great to be here. I know we're doing a little bit of a Sacramento theme for this episode, but really happy about our Atlanta Hawks winning today, so I had to rock the Hawks hat, brother. How you been?
Definitely, I'm good, mate. I think we'll both be in a good mood today, and we'll talk a little bit about those playing games. Yeah, the time of recording
Sure
is
thing.
Wednesday, the 12th of February. That's 12th of April there. So yeah, it was some great games today. But look, before we get into the show a little bit further, just a reminder where to find us. Of course, on YouTube and where all podcasts are found. Please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe. All right, Wood, so you mentioned the Sacramento theme before. Obviously, we decided we'd rock those this week with the Kings breaking that. I think it was the longest streak in American sports, I think, of making the playoffs there. So you can see you're wearing a nice one there. Who you got on for us today?
Sure thing. I'll just stand up, Robbie.
So Woods is standing up wearing the number 5 Sacramento Kings De'Aaron Fox jersey, known as the Swiper the Fox.
I heard you just say that. I was going to say, what a great nickname, right?
It is good, yeah.
And he's really taken his game to another level this year, hasn't he?
He certainly has, yep.
So yeah, just a little bit about De'Aaron Fox. He played college basketball for the Kentucky Wildcats before being selected 5th overall by the Sacramento Kings in the 2017 NBA draft. This is actually, as I said to you, been a great season for him. He's made his first All-Star appearance, but he didn't score a point, did he?
Yeah, that's
in that All-Star game.
Strange, wasn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, 25 points, 6 assists, a steal a game, 4.2 rebounds, pretty good rebounding guard, shooting 50% from the field. Really good season. I think he's really thrived today and this year, and having Domantas Sabonis come and join him with that little bit of a 1-2 punch, it's really been good. And Sacramento have been I'm sure we'll get into it later, but a surprise packet this season, and he's been the one leading the charge there, right?
Absolutely. Love his hops as well for a little guy. I saw he had one of those plays this year where he had the baseline pass and the guy had his back to him. Swiper just chucked it off the guy's back, picked it up and threw down a massive dunk there. So yeah,
I remember.
Got some hops for a guy his size, doesn't he? So I like that one. And obviously they'll be in action in a couple of days in that playoff series against the Warriors, which we'll talk about there. So all right, nice one, Woods. Well, yeah, obviously you've got the new school sort of Kings theme. Yes. I've gone a little bit old school with my ones there. So I'll just talk a little bit. I've got a few little stories about my guys today. So right, so hanging up behind me is a Sacramento Kings black champion jersey. So it's none other than Walt Williams, which is a bit of a blast from the past.
The Wizard.
The Wizard, right? So, yeah, it's a little bit on the man they call the Wizard. He played 11 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of Maryland by the Kings at pick 7 in the 92 draft. I know we love this draft as well, Woods. I think you've rapped about the first 3 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
We talk about them. By the way, speaking of rapping, actually got a request from my daughter. She's like, when is Woody going to rap again on the podcast?
Man. So it's been a minute.
The challenge has been thrown out for next time you host it.
Okay,
so
all right.
Leave that
all
one
right.
with you, right?
You got it, yeah.
That's right. And look, he went on to have a pretty solid career, didn't he? So playing with the Kings, Heat, Raptors, Blazers, Rockets, and Mavs. So he bounced around a little bit at the end there. I think his best years were those early years in Sacramento. So he was known for wearing knee-high socks in honor of his childhood idol, George Gervin there. And accolades are all rookie second team in 93. He's also very recognisable from being in the 90s movie Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg, which I know is a movie we both like. He was also in the Hootie and Blowfish music video Only Want to Be With You. So
Only Want to Be With You.
Yeah, well,
I'll sing, I'm on rap.
Some singing. So we'll talk about that yesterday. Check that one out on YouTube if you haven't seen it. So it's got Walt Williams, Alonzo Mourning, Charles Smith, Alex English, and Muggsy Bogues. Dan Marino as well for any NFL fans, and Fred Couples for any golf fans. So it's still a good song, though, isn't it, Woods, that one? It's a pretty
love Hootie in the Blowfish, man. Yeah. Darius Rucker, my man. Love it.
That's
love
right,
it.
D. Rucker. Yep. So look, post-career, the soon-to-be 53-year-old works as a financial advisor. He also coaches his 3 kids, who, from what I'm reading, are supposed to be pretty good prospects as well. So we might get some young wizards maybe in the future that we might sort of keep an eye on there. So that's a little bit about Walt Williams there. I'll stand up and show you the one I'm wearing now, Woods. As you know, this is my Grail jersey. This is a jersey that I was probably trying to get for about 5 years, and it was really hard to get. And I probably paid a little bit too much when I found it. But anyway, I'll stand up and show you the one I'm rocking today.
Robbie's wearing the Kings number 22 Lionel Simmons jersey, and he's been looking for this for since I've known him. I've known him most of my natural life, so unbelievable you finally got your hands on that. And as you said, paid a little bit too much for it, though, right?
I do have some random favourite players over the year, don't I? So anyone that sort of knows me will know how much I love the L Train. Guys like Glenn Rice. I don't know, Blue Edwards. These sort of guys like that. Sort of big sort of 90s guys I really like. Lindsay Hunter, who I rocked on the show last week. So, a little bit on Lionel Simmons. So, wearing the old school white Champion Kings jersey. Look, the L Train was drafted out of LaSalle College by the Kings at pick 7, the same pick that they got Walt Williams a few years later in the 1990 NBA draft. Unfortunately, Woods, he went on to have a very short 7-year NBA career, all with the Sacramento Kings, before injuries forced him to retire early. So he had a number of sort of chronic injuries there. So a bit of a shame we never saw his full potential. Another one, if you want to Google it, he was also subject to one of the strangest injuries ever to occur. Do you remember what that one is, Woods?
No, I don't.
Bit of Nintendo-itis back in
right, yes.
the early 90s.
Yeah.
So apparently he had some sort of wrist injury there they reckon was due to excessive playing of his Nintendo Game Boy in 1991. So apparently any time he wasn't playing or practicing, he was playing the Game Boy, which I know Woody and I liked the Game Boys back in the day as well.
Yeah.
So it's on apparently a list of like strangest injuries in professional sports there. So look that one up if you want to read a little bit more.
Well, that happened to Ariel Huckporty a couple of seasons ago as well. He had thumb issues.
Yeah, that sounds right. That wouldn't have been a Game Boy though, right? That would have been something a bit more advanced, right? But,
of course. Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, a bit of a shame really. So only a short 7-year career there. So look, his accolades, obviously not a whole lot there, but he was runner-up Rookie of the Year to Derek Coleman in the 1991 draft. And look, he was also National College Player of the Year in 1990. Excuse me as I just let my cat out of the room, Woods. So, look, Simmons is currently 54 and lives in Philadelphia where he helps out with the community with a number of charities. So, no bobbleheads for either of these two, but boy, I would love a Lionel Simmons L-Train bobblehead. So, I do have one of those starting lineup ones, I think they're called. I know it's in a box somewhere. I couldn't find it. It's in the cupboard behind me there. So, I do have some sort of figurine, but yeah, no bobbleheads, unfortunately. But what are your memories on Walt Williams and Lionel Simmons before we continue, Woods?
Lionel Simmons, minimal. I mean, I do remember him obviously having a great rookie season there alongside Derek Coleman. Walt Williams, really enjoyed the way he played. He had a number of stops along the way. At the very end, I think he was on that Dallas team as well with Nick Van Exel, was he not? And Eduardo Nahera, Dirk Nowitzki. I think that was towards the end of his career, right? But
he played that veteran role then, yeah.
He did. But yeah, just guys that I have fond memories from my childhood from grabbing their cards in packs, etc. Right, but yeah, didn't get to watch as much of Lionel as you may have, but Walt Williams obviously followed his career closely throughout.
Two pretty good nicknames as well, right? The Wizard and the L Train. So if you're talking those 90s sort of NBA player nicknames, those two are certainly at the top of the list. So, all right, Woods, that was pretty fun doing a bit of a trip down memory lane. So I feel like we've got a lot to talk about today, given the NBA play-in started today and the playoffs start on the weekend. So, look, let's get into some NBA playoffs and get into it, right? So,
let's do it, man.
So, look, at the time of recording, I mentioned it's Wednesday, the 12th of April. So 6 of the 8 playoff series are now locked in. And look, obviously I wanted to start and talk about today's 2 play-in results. Miami versus our Hawks and the Lakers hosting Minnesota. I know you saw those games, so tell me what your thoughts were.
Yeah, hopefully my boss isn't listening to this. I wasn't too productive at work today watching both the games. Look, let's start off with Atlanta. Unreal. I mean, no one expected them to come into Miami's home floor and play with such, vigor. And you see in big games like this, why a coach like Quinn Snyder really makes a difference. You heard him in the huddles, coaching that team. He shortened his rotations today, and that impact that our bench gave us was absurd. But I'm going to call out Clint Capella, man. He just really wanted it badly today. I think if you look at his stat line, just focused on the defensive end and grabbing boards, 21 boards today, second chance opportunities for us. On the offensive glass, he got 8 there, and you just saw him just win extra positions for our team. And I really think he had a big part to play. In fact, both centers had a big part to play today in our success. Correct?
Definitely. So, look, I'll say a bit on the game as well. So, you're certainly right with Capella. I thought him and Okongwu both had a lot of block shots. They also changed a lot of shots. We saw my mate Jimmy Butler get to the basket a few times there, and just those two guys coming on the help defense there forced him to miss a few shots. And got to say, Woods, I'm not a big fan of Miami, definitely not a big fan of Jimmy Butler, so I was really pleased to see that game today. And, look, you mentioned that shortened bench that the Hawks played today. That is a really good four they played today, right? Yep. So the four guys they used off the bench were Bogdan Bogdanovic, Sadiq Bey, Onyeka Okongwu, and Jalen Johnson. I've been going on about Jalen Johnson all week for you. With you, haven't I? I think I may have maybe said that I could see him being a future All-Star, but we've got an asterisk. Don't quote me on that one if he doesn't. But look, I'm loving what I'm seeing in that guy. The guy's only 21. He fills up the stat sheet when he plays. I'm really aggressive with his drives to the basket. Sadiq Bey, someone that we've both been really pleased with since he's come over. Another big body, can defend, can hit the outside shot there, and I think he's fit in with the team really well. So it seems like the Hawks gave up some sort of lesser guys in a bit of a package to get someone that's actually going to be useful in these playing games. And I guess finally on the game, Woods, it felt like the Hawks were in control the whole game, right? They were up at every change there. The Heat made a few runs. I think they got it back to maybe 6 in the last quarter, and then we scored on the next two possessions and got it to 11 points again. So I thought Trey played a really good game there. He was in control there, hit some really nice and one shots there. His passing was on point like it always is. But yeah, certainly the standouts there were the bench play and the two big guys there. What about Miami before we move on to the other game? Obviously, they're going to play the winner of the playing game tomorrow between Toronto and Chicago. A bit of a surprise, I guess. Most people, I think they were maybe 5 or 6 point favourites in that game there. Do you see them bouncing back and winning whoever makes that game and making the playoffs, or what do you think will happen there?
Yeah, I do. And you saw Udonis Haslem really have a go at them today when they were falling back in that game in that second quarter, right? And I think that he would have actually had a few things to say in the locker room after the game as well. And his jersey's going to be retired next year, and he's going to retire at the end of this playoff run. So I think they really want to get this done specifically for him. 20 years, same club. I think they're going to ride him, and you saw a veteran like Kyle Lowry, 33 points, coming off the bench, which is a bit interesting to me. Gabe Vincent starting and Kyle Lowry coming off the bench. I'd be inclined to play Kyle Lowry more minutes and start him next game. And even a guy like Duncan Robertson who's just sitting on the pine there, and Victor Oladipo playing minimal minutes, I'd consider throwing those guys in there, ahead of a Gabe Vincent or even a Max Strus and giving them a few more minutes. Kevin Love as well, experience. These guys have been in these situations before, experienced veterans, and that's what you want in playoff situations. So
it's a good point what you said, Woods. I'm looking at the box score now. So Gabe Vincent played 24 minutes. Max Strus also played 24. And Duncan Robinson, probably the highest paid bench cheerleader in the whole NBA. It's staggering money that he's on.
Yes.
Didn't get on. Victor Oladipo played 9 minutes there. So, yeah, a bit of a surprise.
What about Kevin Love? He didn't play much today, did he?
No, he played 3 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
all right. You acquire these guys. You acquire someone like Kevin Love. He's an NBA champion before. He's played in these tough situations. You really need to lean on those guys. So I think that some adjustments need to be made to that rotation in that final game. At least they've got that home court advantage in that game, and you'd think they'd get it done, especially, as I said, for Udonis, right?
They'd probably be wanting a later tip-off as well, because you know what it's like down in South Beach. It was a pretty ordinary crowd early on in that game, lots of empty seats, and I think they started to find a bit of voice and it filled up a bit more. But I believe that game is going to be like almost back-to-back days, I think, so it might be on Friday, our time there, so a lot of time to back up. So I guess what it means for our Hawks before we go on further, it means they're in the playoffs now, so they've done the same as they did last year and gone through with a play-in victory there. They'll be playing the Celtics. Interestingly as well, Woods, the Hawks won 41 and 41 this year, which is just sums us up, doesn't it, really? But I believe they had the same record 2 seasons ago when they made the conference finals there. So, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to do it again, but anything's possible, and we do seem to have clicked a little bit in this last week. Like you said, new coaches finally settled in there. So, yeah, as you can see by how much we've talked about that one game, we're really excited about the victory.
Absolutely. And we much prefer taking on Boston than a Milwaukee, right? Boston could have a Robert Williams injury.
We've beaten Milwaukee a couple of games this year. Remember I said a few times, Trey got off a couple of times against them and Drew Holiday there. But, yeah, I agree. I think Milwaukee's probably clicking a bit better, and they're such a good defensive team with all the length they've got on that team. So, yeah, Celtics is probably, a better matchup there. But
they're injury-prone, Celtics. They could have a Al Horford injury, a Robert Williams injury, a Marcus Smart injury, who could just open the door for us, right?
And an inexperienced coach as well going into this playoff series. So there's been a few sort of, people talking about him and not much of a game plan and stuff this season. So it'd be interesting to see how good we go against that. But let's talk about that second game today, Woods. And it was a cracking game, wasn't it? So Lakers hosting Minnesota. Lakers obviously coming through with an overtime victory. My boy DS17 really had a big game there. He hit that big three to put him up 3 with a couple of seconds left, and then Anthony Davis fouled Mike Conley on a 3. Basically, it was his falling out of court there. Conley coolly stepped up and hit all 3 free throws. But, 6-point win in the end. What was your take on that game?
Yeah, look, I mean, Minnesota was actually shooting the lights out, but in that last quarter, it just became a defensive tussle. Both teams couldn't make a bucket, but you really got to hang your hat on the way the Lakers played defense. For about 5 to 6 minutes, Minnesota was scoreless, and LA was in the passing lanes, in the paint, protecting the rim. Yeah. And then Minnesota's offensive game just turned to crap, man. You saw them just turning the ball over,
Anthony
making
Edwards
ill-advised pass.
3 of 17 for the Ant-Man there. What do you think of his game there?
Yeah, I mean, I heard that he's playing with a little bit of a niggle, right? But at the same point, he's not very experienced playing these big games. Last year, okay, he had a little bit of a taste of it, but this is when those veterans know how to step up. Mike Conley, as you said, came and stepped up and hit those 3 free throws in clutch moments. Dennis Schroeder's a veteran now. He's able to, play in these situations. LeBron, Anthony Davis, these guys. I knew that even though Minnesota was playing so well, that Lakers would make a run and on their home floor probably get them over the line. And you got to really think now that the Lakers have got a great chance against Memphis. You saw today Rudy Gobert out. When against a guy like Anthony Davis, you could have really done with Rudy Gobert. Cat was in foul trouble, right? Yeah.
I was going to ask you on that, Wood. So how did you think that Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels went for the Wolves today? Did you think they had good games there? Or?
Yeah, exactly, right? So
tell the story, Woods, for those that haven't seen it with Rudy Gobert, why he wasn't playing today, right?
Yeah, so there was a bit of a scuffle between Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert, and then Rudy Gobert threw a punch at Kyle Anderson. Now, everyone's saying Rudy Gobert is a bit of a muppet for doing that. He's a bit of a knucklehead. But really, if you hear about what happened, Kyle Anderson's not very nice to his teammates. He really likes to call them all out, and he doesn't mince his words. And apparently, he was saying, "You're a little bitch," time after time into Rudy Gobert's face, just to poke the bear. And Rudy Gobert, he didn't even connect. Let's be honest. He hit him in the shoulder, whatever. But it was very much complicated.
They are friends though, Woods. You know what I mean? So maybe that's the way that Slow-Mo sort of tries to fire him up by sort of saying something like that, and it just maybe wasn't the right moment.
Are they friends? Do you know that?
Apparently so. Yeah, I read something from the local Minnesota guy saying it was a surprise. They hang out, after practice and other stuff like that. So maybe that's kind of the way they talk to each other, and just a little bit of heat of the moment there. But Jaden McDaniels is a big one too. So he broke his wrist in that game punching
I know.
Like a, what do you call it? It wasn't a wall. It was like a little barrier sort of thing.
Yeah.
As he went off there, so he would have been an important player in that game. Probably their strongest wing defender there, and probably would have matched up on LeBron for a lot of that game.
Exactly.
So
right.
Look, the season's not over for Minnesota. They obviously get that sort of elimination game, which will be in a couple of days there. But look, either way, Woods, 2 really enjoyable games today. I know.
I mean, shout out to Anthony Davis though. I didn't know he made a boneheaded play there. But he really held it together, man. He had a great line
24,
today.
15, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, that's a pretty solid game, right?
Yep. And I'm going to back the Lakers against Memphis. So just going a bit further, the need for a Rudy Gobert type against Anthony Davis was evident today. So a guy like Steven Adams missing for that whole playoff series, right? He would have been useful against Anthony Davis. I just have a feeling the Lakers are probably going to get that done in 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you with that one. So, very interesting. All right, so we'll just sort of go into... I'm noticing that Tristan Thompson is on the Lakers.
Yes, I know, man. I know. Where did he come from? I saw him today. I texted a friend today and go, since when was Tristan Thompson on the Lakers, right?
Very strange. Yeah. Interesting. So, it's very strange. Okay, anyway. All right, so look, I thought we might get into maybe a little bit of some of the actual playoff games. Actually, before we do that, Woods, let's do some quick picks for these elimination playing games tomorrow. So, Toronto will play the Bulls and the Pelicans host OKC. As I mentioned, both knockout games. Which 2 teams will be going home, do you think?
I got Bulls to win.
Bulls to win, okay.
Yep. I just think that once again, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, hopefully those guys, Nick Vucevic is there as well, right? So I think that those guys might get it done tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Just an inkling, just a feeling, a gut feeling I've
I
got.
hope they do. I'm picking Toronto, but no, I'm not. I'm not sort of angry with your tip
Yeah.
there. That's a decent one there. And what about the other series?
My head says New Orleans, but my heart says OKC, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Can you believe, Woods, for OKC, that Josh Giddey led the team in rebounds this year with 7.5 rebounds a game? Have you
I
ever
knew
heard
that.
such a low rebound tally for
Nah.
someone? And I think they didn't have anyone else over 5 rebounds a game, if I read that sort of correctly the other day.
And then
It's
who have they
pretty
got?
random
They've
stuff.
got random people playing center throughout the year. Mascala. I mean, I
Yeah.
keep confusing the two. You know, Jalen Williams, Jaylin Williams playing
Yeah.
center. You know, Pokachevsky was there for a while. It's probably why, right? You know,
Yeah.
but Giddy's a great rebounder. At 6'8", 6'9", he's got
Yeah.
such an uncanny knack of knowing where the ball's going to go.
And 2
I think
Aussies
that,
in this game, right, Woods? So Dyson Daniels against Josh Giddey, so that's pretty exciting.
yeah, I don't know how much Ron Dyson's going to get, but you know, Josh Giddey will obviously be a big part of the chances. OKC's chances tomorrow. I'm actually really excited to watch that game. It'll be
No,
fun.
they should be good. I mean, obviously today's were good, but you knew sort of each team that lost had another chance. But
Yes.
as we mentioned, a one-game elimination, so this is big stakes in these games. So, all right, Woods, let's go on to the actual playoffs. Given we've
Yes.
covered the play in there, I thought we'd just quickly go through
Hey,
each
just
series.
quickly before we
Yeah,
move on, Robbie. I
course.
think it's going to be a great experience for a young OKC team. I know Stewie was hoping they wouldn't fall out. One of our friends, friend of the show, but OKC getting this opportunity to play this young team is going to be a great experience for them, whether they win or lose, right?
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
I'm pleased to sort of see that they made it there. And
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably do a whole show on Dallas and what happened with them at the end of the season. We'll
Yes.
save that for another week there. But all right, in terms of these playoffs, so look, as I mentioned earlier, I think there's 6 of the 8 series are confirmed now. So we'll start off with the Eastwoods. We'll just do a quick little, maybe prediction and the thought on each series there. So Boston playing Atlanta, prediction?
Boston in 5.
Yeah, I'll say Boston in 6. Look, I hate picking against the Hawks, but look, we are talking about one of the more consistent teams in the NBA this season against a team that has literally been win one, lose one for about the whole season with the Hawks there. So I'd love for the Hawks to upset them. I'd love to Bill Simmons on his podcast to actually say something nice about the Hawks and trade. Jeez,
Yeah.
I would love that. But yeah, I agree. Boston will win that one. So the other series, I reckon this one's pretty good. So Philly playing against Brooklyn. Thoughts on that one?
Damn. All right. I'm going to go Philly in 6.
Yeah, I'll say Philly in 6 as well with that one. Interesting to see with Philly there. Obviously not sort of getting a whole lot out of their bench there. It'd be interesting to see how they sort of go against a team that's really sort of a bit unheralded, aren't they? In the Nets, they're playing that defensive style now. We talked about Bridges last week. I apologise, I did call him. So Miles Bridges, of course, it's Mikhail.
Hey, you don't want to mix those two up, man.
Apologise about that. No, exactly right. So yeah, Mikhail Bridges. I do apologise to him. So he'll be very important in that series. But yeah, I agree in 6. And lastly, in the East, we see Cleveland playing the Knicks in that 4-5 series. So what are your thoughts on that one?
That's going to be the series of the conference, man.
Going to 7, do you think?
Yes, I'm going to go Knicks in 7.
Knicks in 7. All right, nice. I don't mind that one. I'm going to say Cavs in 7. I think this is a pretty big series for Donovan Mitchell. We've seen he hasn't had a great, playoff resume in terms of getting his team, deep into series and everything else like that. So I think it's a big one for him. Potentially just having that home court advantage in the extra game might be enough for him there. But yeah, you're right. I do like that 4-5.
Who's the vets on that Cleveland team that have had that experience? Ricky Rubio.
I mean, yeah, Ricky Rubio. I mean, Jared Allen's been maybe on some playoff teams in the past, right? I mean, because obviously, the Hawks took care of them in the play-in last year. So guys like Darius Garland and those sort of guys haven't had a lot of sort of run there, have they? So Karis LeVert, maybe I don't see he's had great sort of playoff runs in the past. So.
Even the Knicks are the same. They have a very little playoff experience on that side. So
yeah, that's true. Unless you want to bring Derrick Rose in off the bench, I'm not sure if they'll be doing that. Shout out to Emmanuel Quickly as well, who's just been playing his backside off, hasn't he?
Yeah,
him and Jalen Brunson there are a great sort of 1-2 there at the backcourt. So, all right, well, let's go to the West then, Woods. So we mentioned obviously this Memphis Lakers series is confirmed. You mentioned you thought Lakers are going to win. How many games do you think they'll win it in?
6.
6. All right. Yeah, I'll say Lakers in 7 for this one, and then getting a big Game 7 victory in Memphis. Obviously, with Memphis having home court, but potential to see a fiery series. This one, there's a few sort of guys on each team that probably aren't going to put up with a lot there. So we'll see old mate for Memphis there, potentially trying to see who we can upset there. That'll be fun. Yeah, right. In terms of the next
which old mate?
So troublemaker for Memphis. His name's escaping me at the moment. leading the universe in text for the year.
His name is escaping me too.
We've had a long day at work,
Yeah.
/ watching games today, haven't we? So, you can look that up while we're supposed to be basketball experts, and then we've forgotten that guy's name. So,
Yeah.
before we go on to it,
Dylan Brooks.
There you go. I thought
Dylan Brooks.
Anyway, he is a bit forgettable though.
Yeah.
All right. So the teams we're rocking the jerseys today. Sacramento will be having the home court advantage against Golden State. What's your thoughts on that series?
Oh, that's going to be a good one. I'm going to go. Look, is Wiggins playing? Do you know?
He is. He's back. Yep.
He's back.
Apparently so.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to go 5. Golden State in 5.
About to say, I think Golden State in 5. So that's probably the biggest upset we'll be calling there. So obviously Sacramento's got the home court advantage. I wonder if it'll be one of those, they're happy to make it type situations for them. It's been such a fight to get there. It'd be interesting. I do like some of the players on Sacramento. And obviously, they've got a really dynamic duo there. But just wonder about some of the experience coming off their bench against this, hardened sort of playoff-ready Golden State team. So, look, hope it is a better series than that, if I'm being honest. But I think the Golden State will do it pretty easy. And then the last one to talk about, Woods, is Suns and Clippers, which I think should be a great series there. There's thoughts that Paul George could be out for the start of that series there, which is a shame, obviously, for the Clippers. But, who do you like for that one?
Suns in 6 without Paul George, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'll agree with you again, which I don't like agreeing with you too much. But I'll say Suns in 6 as well. So anyway, it certainly seems like a great playoff series. So I think the actual playoff games themselves are starting Saturday. Obviously, Australia time there. Obviously, we'll see the playing games get wrapped up over the next couple of days. But, as we mentioned, two elimination games on Thursday the 13th there, and then the playoffs itself will start on Saturday. So looking forward to talk about that over the next few weeks. And, let's hope the Hawks can pull an upset and knock off the Celtics there, right?
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. It's going to be an uphill battle, but wearing the hat, going to be rocking my jersey and enjoying every minute of that series. It's nice for us to actually be there in the playoffs. Didn't always look likely. So
100%. All right, let's get on to a few quick hits now, Wood. So, look, obviously got a bit of NBL to talk about with some free agency, but I didn't want to sort of go past the Xavier Cooks news. Your boy Xavier Cooks, right? So, obviously he played out the season with Washington there. They didn't have a lot to play for, given they didn't make the playoffs. He started in that last game. Talk to me. How happy are you with the way he sort of played out the season there, and what did he show you there?
Yeah, really happy. It was quite fortunate for him. The Wizards didn't have a chance of making the playoffs, and a lot of their guys were sitting out there, and he got his first start. I think it was 10 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals in that final game. Played 38 minutes. In the game before, he had 9 and 10. He showed that all those intangibles that made him such a great player at the NBL level, he can translate to the NBA level. Diving after loose balls, being a pesky defender, his ability to go and crash the glass, and wanting the ball more than others. Great playmaker from he played the 5 spot in that final game, which is his 6'9" frame actually fits into the new NBA at the center position, right? So
you're right.
Really impressed, and I think that just reading articles and listening to media coverage about what the Wizards front office and coaching staff think about him, they've been really impressed. And he's got a contract that's now it was misreported. I think he's got a 4-year deal with first 3 years guaranteed, and the 4th year having a player option. So it's not just a 2-year deal. So they're going to invest a lot of time in Xavier Cooks.
Yeah.
And he's shown in his dozen odd games that he's been with the team what he can bring to the table. And just really happy for him. And let's get his jersey.
100%. That was going to be my next question, actually. So how soon until we go and do an order with the NBA still there? So I think we need to do it. I know you're looking at that cherry blossom sort of colour one they've got. I think they might have sold out of those, so we might have to pick another colour. But you've got to represent that Xavier Cooks Washington jersey there. And I agree. Really great to see, and really was a good situation for him to wrap up that season in. So well-deserved break for him now, right? So obviously playing through that season there and then going straight to America there. So he can afford maybe to celebrate that NBL win now. Probably didn't get to do that before, and then get all ready for next season. So,
you think he'd be part of that World Cup squad, though?
He'd be a lock to make that now.
So
it's going to be a tough team, isn't it? Yeah, no.
He will have some work in that offseason. He will have some.
It's going to be a great team there. Yeah. So, we'll talk about NBL, Wood. So, there's been a little bit of NBL free agency news since our last show last week. So, I know probably the biggest move so far was New Zealand keeping your boy, William McDowell White. Look, I know you talked about why you thought they needed to do this last week. So, I'm sure you're pretty happy he re-signed, right?
Yeah, not really surprised at all. As I told you, I gave our audience and the viewers a little bit of insights into why I thought he'd go back there. He's made the right decision for his personal development, and I really think that he can take his game to another level this year, and some doors might open for him potentially to get another crack at the NBA or over in Europe, and I think that would be good for him. Yeah.
Still so young as well, right? So, he's definitely improving. He was in the G League, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah.
He was in the G League before sort of coming over and playing a couple of seasons ago there. So, yeah, he's definitely...
I think the Rockets even signed him to their initial roster before waiving him before the season started, their preseason roster,
and,
right?
Hey, we've seen people in that New Zealand Breakers team go on to make it, haven't we? We've seen RJ Hampton, we've seen Usman Dieng, we've seen Jarrell Brantley. So they're definitely a team that sort of, obviously people in America and scouts are keeping their eyes on there. So that was a big move. Look, there's been a few lesser moves, but we certainly wanted to mention some of them, obviously with BMW being the biggest signing. So I'll just read them out quickly and then we can give some thoughts there, Wood. So, I'll read out the ones I've got there. And obviously there was a bit of a move today, which was probably equally as big as the BMW move. But the ones over the last few days, so Jason Kadee returning to play with the 36ers. Mason Peatling signing with the Hawks. The Gak Brothers finding new homes, with Gorjak finding a home with the Phoenix and AK in Cairns. Tanner Krebs to United on a 3-year deal. Then there was a few players re-signing, including Bull Quoll, who we talked about last week. He's returning to Cairns.
Yep.
Michael Harris going back to Perth, and your boy Jackson McCoy with the Kings. But look, give us your thoughts on these ones first, Woods, and then we'll talk about this later signing that came out today.
Yeah. Tanner Krebs is an underrated player. I mean, the work that he's done in Brisbane over the last few years has really almost flown under the radar, right? But he's a really good, wing in this league, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him. And I think in that system with Vickerman, he's that perfect player for them, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a low-key really good signing for Melbourne, and to lock himself up for 3 years in that market and find some stability for him and his family with that contract is really just reward for hard work. The Gak Brothers, maybe AK we'll talk about. I mean, we've talked to many people, about what his abilities are. Most recently being Coach Jacob Jackomas, who's told us what kind of potential he has. We've seen him have a shot at the Summer League, but he's never really got his opportunity in the NBL yet, right? You did mention to me he had some big NBL 1 games last season. But what a great place for him to go, because Adam Ford knows how to develop young talent and take their games to the next level. We've seen that with the aforementioned Bull Call. We've spoken about Keanu Pinder, right? We've talked about Lat Mayen, Ben Air. A lot of guys have really thrived under him. And I think for him to go to that market, he's going to get an opportunity to play right away with Keanu gone now. And who knows what they're going to do. He's going to have an opportunity. And I'm really excited to see what he can bring to the table with an extended opportunity, let's say, right?
No, I agree with that, Woods. And I think probably a bit of a low-risk signing as well, I guess, right? Obviously his brother was the one that a lot of the teams were really chasing there. I believe Mike Kelly was the one that got Gorjak over the line to go to the Phoenix. But, in terms of AK there, he's a little bit bigger than his brother there. Can certainly, he's a lob threat there. He's a very big sort of guy inside, pretty athletic as well. So I'll be interesting to see how he goes this year. He could be one of those cheap fantasy buys in the fantasy comp this year that you sort of starts off the season dirt cheap and he eventually triples his price in there. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, exactly. You're right what you said about Adam Ford. He certainly gets the best out of these sort of younger players, doesn't he? And looking forward to see how he goes. But look, the news that came out today though, Woods, obviously we mentioned United signed Tanner Krebs yesterday. They signed an MVP candidate this year, or re-signed one in another one of your boys in JA or JLA as you like to call him there. So why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about that move there and what that means for United?
Well, Melbourne United is that prestige club, right? They say Kings are, but Melbourne United are right up there. They've got big pocketbooks, huge following, and they'd be pretty disappointed about the way things went last season. So you knew they were going to retool, right? And what better way to do that than bring a former NBL champion and the backbone of their team the season before in Joe Luala-Chul. And, automatically, you look at some of the pieces they put together. We'll talk about it in a second. Another former Melbourne United star who's currently in the NBA they're talking to. They're going to really be good this year. I'm just really surprised that Joe Luala-Chul hasn't got his shot in the big show in the league yet. He brings all the intangibles to the table. A stretch big, 7'1" guy who can really play in that new school NBA, and he hasn't got that opportunity. So I'm not sure how we went in China in the off season. I don't know if you've checked his stats, but surprised to see him back here. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's 28 years of age now. I was checking that, soon to become 29 actually. So he's certainly getting towards that veteran sort of status there. But yeah, I agree. You wonder if he's, although we're seeing Cooks, making it not
27.
That much. Yeah, exactly. So maybe the door isn't totally shut there. But either way, it's a great signing there. I think we'll see Marcus Lee probably won't be going back there now. I think you've got Huck Porty coming back, and you've got JLA. I know we talked about this offline. I can't see that they'd have all three of those guys. Certainly, we knew that Isaac Humphries was going to be going to another team now. But yeah, look, obviously we're getting him. If they can get the player that I know you sort of teased us before with, Matthew Dellavedova, there's certainly talks that he may be coming back. And I think he's a lock. If he does come back, it would only be with United as well, right? So, look, imagine they could get some good inputs around. I'm still not hearing much about Rajon Tucker there. Seem to be a few teams interested in him. It's gone a little bit quiet. I think you try and probably lock up your Aussies first, and then you chase after these imports. You see what happens in summer leagues and other things, and you get them on board later. But, yeah.
I think I heard it's that marquee player, JLA, is going to be for them, which means that they're restricted to getting just the 2 imports, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you're right with JLA being there. Marcus Lee and Ariel Hukporti there. Marcus Lee becomes a surplus to their needs, so they can go back for a Rajon Tucker, and then another Xavier Rathan-Mays type potentially. Do you know?
Yeah. I tell you what though, Woods, Marcus Lee looked really good at the end of that season for United there. So he'd certainly be a team that a player that a few teams would be keeping an eye on there. Maybe even your Kings could be trying to get him to maybe replace Suarez or something like that if they've got.
He would be the perfect fit. I was going to say. At the Kings, or even at Cairns, right? Do you know what I mean? With Pinder gone now, he could fit in with AK we just spoke about, right? So yeah,
it's been interesting, hasn't it? Look, obviously the season finished a month or so ago, maybe even a little bit more now, and we're still sort of getting so much interest in so many of these signings there, which is always fun, right? So anyway, enjoyed chatting about all that, Wood. So all the playoff and playing coverage and the NBL Free Agency. Look, we might wrap up the show with something we love to do this week, and the viewers and our subscribers always talk how much they like this classic packs thing we do. So I believe you've got a bit of a random pack for us this week. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, we did speak earlier about the 92-93 NBA draft, but what we speak about is that 93-94 one being one of our favorite drafts, right? And I know our boys at the Sport Blokes have done the redraft. Have they of that year, 93-94? They may have.
I think they maybe have, yeah. Yep.
So we've shout out to them, and we've got a classic. The brand is called Classic, and it's the 93 draft pack. And I remember this brand used to do college cards back in the 90s, right? So this whole pack is dedicated to the 93 draft, right?
And this is the draft that I rocked the Lindsay Hunter jersey from last week, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Correct.
So,
correct.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get a Lindsay Hunter one in there. But interesting to see what we've got here. We've never opened one of these before, so this will be an interesting thing for all of us. I don't even remember what these look like either. So.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. Drafted by Golden State at number 3 from the movie Blue Chips.
Penny Hardaway.
And originating from Memphis, Tennessee. Nice. Anthony Penny Hardaway.
We've talked about that, obviously. Drafted by Golden State, and then, the bit of a switcheroo with Chris Webber there. Okay, that's a good one to get, obviously, first up there, Woods. Yep. So, nice one. Yeah. He's coaching Memphis, I believe, now. I think he's still doing that. Yep.
Okay, this guy was drafted by the New Jersey Nets at number 16, went to San Jose. He was a clutch performer who calls for the basketball when the game is on the line. Number 23. No, he resides in San Jose but went to Kansas.
He's a whitey, right?
Yep.
Walters.
Rex Walters.
Yeah, okay. Blanking on his name there. Yeah, nice. Rex Walters. That's a blast from the past there. They're actually not too bad looking cards, are they?
No. Nice. Okay. This was a free agent, not even drafted, but part of that draft class. He went to Rice University. I don't even know who he ended up playing for because I can't even remember him. Number 32, 6'10" center. Brent Scott.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember much about him. I don't even know if he even made it to the big league. So, interesting. Yeah.
Take a look. Take a look for me. Okay. Look up this guy, Brent Scott.
So, Brent Scott, yeah. So, he's 6'10" center, is he?
Yep.
Brent Scott. The big boy, 6'10", 250. Yeah, look, he had a cup of coffee with Indiana there. Not sure if he actually played there. He's made it really big overseas, actually, Woody. He was a two-time All-Star in Italy, two-time All-Star in Greece. Yeah, played all over the place. Played in Poland and a few other random places like that. So, interesting.
Okay, the next two guys you're going to love. They're both NBL players, right?
Oh, nice.
Okay, second round pick 34 from Golden State. Had a decent little run with the Denver Nuggets before coming here and being one of the great defensive players in NBL history. No, the great defensive players in NBL history.
What's his name? Oh, Darnell Mee, of course.
Darnell Mee.
What was his college again? I remember watching them on the ABC back in the day and just loving this guy.
Kentucky. Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. Yeah,
Western Kentucky.
Right.
Yep.
Darnell Mee. Has he got the long socks as well in there? Yeah, kind of long. Yeah, I was a big fan of that guy, right?
Yep. Got his jersey as well.
Yep, same.
The other one had, I think it was a couple of great seasons for the Southeast Melbourne Magic. 5'11" guard, pick 42 from Seattle. He now resides and spent his rest of his life living in Australia, coaching in the Melbourne area.
Is he a baldy?
No, he's got hair.
No, not Sedale 3 then.
No. He's been here ever since.
Adonis?
Adonis Jordan.
Nice, Jordan. Nice. Yeah, he still stayed here. What a great name as well.
He did stay here, didn't he?
Yeah,
he still lives here. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, he could fill it up, couldn't he, Adonis Jordan?
Okay, free agent. These cards are all stuck together, Robbie. Okay.
They are 30 years old, we should say.
Yep. This guy was a free agent, but had a really good career. Known for wearing his goggles. Just a hustle player. Your brother, yes, Charles Bo Outlaw.
Love Bo Outlaw there. He was. I think I've got a jersey of him somewhere, an Orlando Magic one. But yeah, he'd sort of fit in well now, couldn't he? He couldn't shoot it all, but geez, he could come in and just change the game on the defensive end.
Sure could. Okay, 53rd pick drafted by the LA Clippers. Small forward that went to Southern. I can't remember him really. Leonard White.
Wow. Leonard White. Okay, I'm going to look him up quickly and see if he played at all, Woods, just while we're doing that. Leonard White. No, it looks like he never made it on the NBA court. I always feel better when I see that and realise he hasn't played yet. He played in France and Mexico, apparently.
Why are these all sticking together? So annoying. Okay, you'll never believe it, but I pulled this card.
Lindsay Hunter.
You just spoke about him. Lindsay Hunter.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, that's nice. Jackson State, as we spoke about last week. Oh, that's awesome. We got that. Nice. So that means I might have to get that one. There's a few Glenn Rice ones I wanted to get from him in the past.
When you come over next, you can go through the folder and take what you want.
Well, does that
might have to post that one on Twitter.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we talked about that with the story. So he wore number 11 there. So interesting. So that means you hopefully get an Allen Houston coming up soon. We talked about he was drafted. Detroit drafted those two early on. In the lottery.
We got another Whitey that was a free agent. Has the same name as one of the great quarterbacks in NFL history.
And that's saying something because I know your NFL knowledge is about as much as my knowledge of horse racing.
He was a free agent. Went
Montana,
went to Washington University. I've never heard of this guy.
Or are we talking? It's either a Brady or a Montana, right? If you're talking, is there another quarterback? I'm
Peyton.
So Manning. Okay. Who's he? I don't know who that is.
Rich Manning.
Okay, no idea who that guy is. I like his shooting style, but I don't know him. Apologies, Rich.
Okay, another free agent one. Went to Duke. Yeah, went to Duke. No, he went to J Madison. Do you know what that is?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. It says Dukes on his jersey. Number 24, I've never heard of him. William Davis.
Can't say I know.
Some of these guys probably just were part of the free agent pool and never got drafted.
They'd be happy to get their name on a card though, right?
Yep, sure would. And I've got the checklist here. Okay,
well at least tell me some of the names are on there then and then rip it up.
Yeah, the checklist, this is only the second half of the checklist, which goes from 56 to 110. Right, so we got Bo Outlaw, Mike Poplawski, Brian Russell.
All right,
Antoine
Woods.
Stoudemire, Nick Van Exel, all no names, man.
All right,
This
Woods.
one's got to
In
go.
honor of Lee Ellis.
In honor of Lee Ellis, this
Woods
one
has ripped
goes.
it up. You're going to throw it over your shoulder? It's over his shoulder.
I better pick it up so the dog doesn't need those
Yeah, that's
little
actually a good
pieces.
point there. You don't want the dog eating a checklist.
Right,
yeah. Nice. Is that the last one, is it?
Yep.
Nice.
Done.
Well, it was an interesting pack. I mean, we got Penny Hardaway at the start. I'm really pleased you pulled Lindsay Hunter after we said it. Was there any other good one? We got Darnell Mee and we got
Adonis Jordan, which was pretty good.
No other real good NBA players, was there, apart from...
we got Rex Walters, Bo Outlaw.
Yeah. Hey, just quickly, Woods, as well. I've just got that open now. So some of the other draft picks in that draft for people playing along at home. So it's the 93 NBA draft. So ones that we didn't call out the names in. So Chris Webber, Sean Bradley, Jamal Mashburn, J.R. Ryder, Calvert Chaney, Bobby Hurley, Vin Baker, Alan Houston. The Hawks drafted Doug Edwards that year. That was a bit rough.
Yep.
AC Earl, another player that played in the NBL. Sam Cassell. Big George Mirasan. Geez, we've rocked a few jerseys of some of this draft, haven't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Nick Van Exel.
I mentioned that 37th pick, right? If I'm mistaken.
Yeah, and then it sort of went a little bit downhill after that, to be honest. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think that was the only pack you had of those. That probably wasn't the greatest pack, but we had to at least give it a try, right?
Yep. Yeah, something different.
Nice one. All right, Woods, I really appreciated that. So, look, as I mentioned at the start of during the show, I did make that mistake on calling Mikhail Bridges there. Also made another little error, Woods. I was off my game last week. So, talking about the Eastcott Game podcast, I referred to Jacinta's awesome podcast co-host by a different name there. So his name's actually Lockie. So apologies, Lockie, that I got that wrong. I am appearing on the show with the guys next week. So I wanted to at least sort of, apologise that I got his name wrong there. So it's Lockie and Jacinta that do a great job on that Eastcott Game, NBL 1 East podcast. But look, other than that, just wanted to really thank everyone for tuning in. As I mentioned at the start of the show, please subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be found on Twitter at Throwbacks Hoops. On Instagram at throwback.hoops. And, of course, our email address is throwbackhoospodcast@gmail.com. Woods, you got any shout-outs there?
No, Patreon, thanks, everyone, for their support. And, really looking forward to the playoffs. So tune in and free agency, NBL free agency, lot going on. So a lot to talk about over the coming weeks.
Absolutely. And I should say, Woods, I'm back in action calling NBL 1 on a Friday night game this week. So it's the only Friday night game. They're calling it the Friday Night Light. So anyone that's, in the Sydney area that's listening to this before Friday, come along. Hills Hornets are taking on Penrith there. Come to the stadium, come and say hi. I'd love to sort of meet anyone that, listens to the show on that there. I'm looking forward to calling a big game there. Give you a final word, Woods. Just, something you'd like to see in the playoffs or anything else that you might want to know.
Just a competitive series, I just want to see some tight games, much like we did today.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically not one-sided.
Are you worried about your work outcome in the next, your work over these next few weeks, Woods, with all these games on? Do you think you're going to be sort of having to work after dinner to catch up each day? But at least you're doing that right. Yeah,
maybe.
Right, nice.
Yeah.
At least you're being honest. All right, really appreciate it, mate. It was fun as always. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next week, and a peace out from the Throwback Hoops crew.
Peace out, guys.